If illness has made a good night's sleep feel impossible to attain, this episode will help you understand why sleep becomes so disrupted during illness and what science suggests can help your body regain healing rest. You've been told it's incurable, but here at Renegade Remission, we believe in rewriting the story. If you're facing a terminal or chronic illness, you are not alone. I'm Eleni Welch, certified nutritionist, and each week I share healing strategies and remission stories to help you take control of your health, feel better, and rediscover hope. Welcome back to Renegade Remission. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why sleep becomes so difficult during chronic and serious illness, what biological systems are actually being disrupted, and which practical strategies survivors and sleep researchers most often use to restore more consistent rest. I'll walk you through a detailed nighttime routine designed specifically for people dealing with chronic illness, pain, inflammation, fear, treatment side effects, or an overactive nervous system. Sleep is often one of the first things to fall apart during illness, and that can be especially distressing because sleep is also one of the body's most important repair processes. When you are living with chronic or serious illness, sleep is not just about feeling rested the next day. It becomes part of how the body repairs tissues, regulates inflammation, stabilizes mood, supports immune function, and restores energy. The difficulty is that illness can disrupt sleep in dozens of different ways at once. Pain makes it harder to get comfortable. Anxiety and uncertainty keep the mind alert. Inflammation alters sleep signaling in the brain. Medications can interfere with circadian rhythm. Neuropathy, night sweats, nausea, muscle tension, trauma, and racing thoughts all make getting a good night's sleep feel pretty difficult. If deep sleep has become evasive for you, that doesn't mean you are failing. More often, it means your body is overwhelmed and your sleep systems are under strain. The encouraging truth is that many people can and do improve their sleep during illness because they can begin supporting the biological systems that make deep rest possible. Before we look at how that works, let's begin with a real survivor story. When neuroscientist Jill Bolte Taylor experienced a hemorrhagic stroke in her 30s, the event abruptly disrupted nearly every function she relied on in daily life. The stroke affected the left hemisphere of her brain, the region responsible for language, analytical thinking, and many aspects of organized cognition. In the hours after the stroke, Taylor noticed that ordinary mental tasks were suddenly impossible. Words became difficult to understand, numbers lost their meaning, and even simple sequences of actions required enormous effort. Over time, as she began the long process of recovery, she also discovered how easily her brain became overwhelmed. In her book, My Stroke of Insight, Taylor writes about the role that rest and sleep played in her healing. During the early stages of recovery, she found that even small amounts of stimulation, including conversations, lights, sounds, or problem solving, could quickly exhaust her brain. When that happened, her symptoms intensified and her ability to think clearly deteriorated. She began learning to pay close attention to the signals her brain was sending. When fatigue increased, she deliberately stepped away from stimulation and allowed herself to sleep or rest quietly. Rather than trying to push through exhaustion, she discovered that periods of deep rest often allowed her brain to regain clarity and function more effectively afterwards. Taylor describes sleep as a crucial part of the brain's ability to reorganize itself after injury. During recovery, she frequently needed long periods of rest, sometimes sleeping far more than she had before the stroke. Over time, she came to view these periods of sleep as an essential part of the brain's repair processes. As her recovery progressed over the following years, Taylor continued to rely on careful pacing between activity and rest. Allowing the brain time to restore itself between periods of effort became one of the central strategies that helped her gradually rebuild cognitive abilities and regain independence. Her experience highlights an important principle that researchers now recognize across many illnesses. Rest and sleep are not simply passive states. They are active biological processes that allow the body and brain to repair damage, reorganize neural pathways, and restore energy. Stories like Taylor's raise an important question. If sleep is so central to healing, why does it become so difficult precisely when the body needs it the most? To answer that, we need to look at what illness does to the biological systems that regulate sleep. Sleep is not simply the opposite of wakefulness. It is an active biological state in which the body repairs tissues, regulates immune activity, consolidates memory, clears metabolic waste from the brain, and restores energy. During illness, many of the systems required for healthy sleep are disrupted at the same time, which is why sleep problems can feel so persistent and so complex. One of the biggest factors is inflammation. Immune signaling molecules, such as cytokines, influence sleep and circadian rhythms directly, and chronic inflammation is associated with disrupted sleep architecture and poorer sleep quality overall. Inflammatory signaling also interacts with the neural systems that regulate sleep and wakefulness, including pathways involving GABA and glutamate, which helps explain why an inflamed body can feel both exhausted and unusually alert at night. A second major factor is hyperarousal. Research on insomnia shows that many people with chronic sleep disruption are not simply bad at sleeping or relaxing, they are physiologically overactivated. This can include elevated metabolic activation, increased sympathetic nervous system activity, higher heart rate, and abnormal hormone secretion across both day and night. During illness, pain, uncertainty, nausea, fear, and physical symptoms can keep the brain in a state of vigilance that makes it much harder to transition into deep rest. Pain plays a major role. The relationship between sleep and pain is strongly bidirectional. Poor sleep predicts worse pain, and pain in turn disrupts both sleep continuity and depth. This creates a difficult cycle in which less restful sleep increases next day pain sensitivity, and greater pain then makes the following night even harder. Hormone regulation is another part of the picture. Melatonin helps regulate circadian rhythm and sleep onset, but at the same time, illness, stress, and irregular sleep patterns all disrupt the natural timing of melatonin release. Cortisol rhythms can also become dysregulated during illness, especially when the nervous system remains in a state of chronic alertness. Finally, sleep and the immune system are deeply interconnected. Sleep influences immune function, and immune activation in turn alters sleep. During healthy sleep, the body coordinates the important immune processes and restorative functions. But during chronic illness, the immune system may remain activated in ways that increase the body's need for sleep, while simultaneously making restorative sleep harder to achieve. That is part of why so many people feel exhausted but wired, sleepy but unable to fall asleep, or physically drained without ever feeling restored. The good news is that there are many practices we can use to sleep better with any diagnosis. These approaches do not guarantee perfect sleep, but they can make rest more likely by supporting the systems that generate sleep rather than forcing the body into it. One of the most consistent strategies is beginning a wind-down ritual before bedtime rather than waiting until the moment your head hits the pillow. Many people find that the nervous system needs a gradual transition into rest. That might include dimming lights, turning off screens, drinking a non-caffeinated herbal tea, taking a warm shower, listening to calming music, engaging in meditation and prayer, or doing a few minutes of gentle stretching. These rituals help create predictability, and predictability signals safety to the brain. Warm water therapy can be surprisingly helpful. A warm bath or shower taken about 1 to 2 hours before bedtime has been shown to help people fall asleep faster and improve subjective sleep quality, likely because it promotes a drop in core body temperature afterwards, which is a natural circadian cue for sleepiness. This goes hand in hand with keeping your bedroom nice and cool and very dark, as well as using a white noise machine or app in order to help block out any sounds that might wake you up. Pain also needs to be addressed proactively rather than reactively. Many people sleep better when they create a simple pre-sleep pain routine that lowers discomfort before it escalates. This might include heat, gentle stretching, positioning supports, relaxation practices, supplementation, or taking prescribed pain medication early enough that it is working by bedtime. The goal is not necessarily to eliminate pain completely, but to reduce it enough that your body can relax and fall asleep. Breathing patterns can also help, especially those that emphasize a longer exhale. Slow breathing is associated with autonomic regulation, and many people find that an inhale of 4 counts followed by an exhale of 6 to 8 counts helps shift the body towards a calmer state. One of my favorite episodes that I've ever made on this podcast is episode 63, Your Daily Healing Visualization, a guided meditation to reset your body and mind in 10 minutes. Listening to this meditation before bed can set you up for a peaceful state of mind, relaxed body, and a good night's sleep. Hand in hand with that meditation is the practice of emptying the mind before bed. Research suggests that writing at bedtime can help with sleep onset particularly when people write down upcoming tasks that they're worried about, rather than simply ruminating on them mentally. Spend a few minutes writing down worries, reminders, and tomorrow's to-dos so the brain no longer feels responsible for holding them through the night. Then close that notebook and take it out of your room. You'll return to it the next day. For some people, low-dose melatonin or magnesium may be useful. Melatonin may modestly improve sleep, timing, and onset, and magnesium helps individuals with relaxation, muscle tension, and sleep quality. Weighted blankets may also be helpful, especially for those whose sleep disruption is tied to anxiety, restlessness, or nighttime hyperarousal. The evidence is still developing, but some individuals do find deep pressure calming and sleep promoting. Sleep during illness is not a luxury. It is one of the body's most important healing states. It is the time when immune activity can be regulated, tissues can be repaired, and energy can be restored. If sleep has become difficult during illness, most often this means that the systems that support sleep have been pushed into a state of inflammation, hypervigilance, pain amplification, or hormonal disruption. When you understand that, the problem starts to look less like a personal failure and more like the physiology of healing from illness. This means that improvement is possible, not always quickly and not always perfectly, but gradually. In our upcoming episodes, we'll continue discussing strategies that help improve our nutrition, healing, rest, and recovery. So stay tuned for those episodes, and as always, go be renegades.